Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another weekly update. Hope everybody is having a lovely weekend. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so we end up selling down to the 21 EMA this week on the weekly time frame here in SPY and QQQ. We started finding buyers around there. If you're not new to the channel, then you know that is the exact spot that I've been pointing out since we were up here. You know, if we were going to fail the lows over here, if we were going to break down under them, that's where we're watching. It was the next stop. And yeah, we came into contact with that on Friday. We started finding buyers there. Now, we have a few scenarios to talk about moving forward here, and they're really going to align with VIX. They have to do with VIX over here. So I'm going to just point that out at the very beginning of the video. That's what we're watching for. Either we're going to keep seeing the floor fall out here on SPY and QQ over the next few sessions like we did in, February to March, or we're going to see a big bounce happen here that's going to last at least a few weeks. Not sure which one we're going to get, but I'm going to point out what you're watching for to tell you which one you're getting, okay? Regardless, ahead of time, you guys all knew to be expecting buyers in this exact spot right down here towards the weekly 21. And that is that. Okay. And you all knew what to be paying attention to over here on VIX. All right. We've been watching the signs here to tell us where we're at along this move. Now on VIX, either you're going to see this thing just keep trekking up to new highs every other day here, which means Monday, Tuesday, this thing spikes back up. We probably get a 30 VIX. All right. Or this thing doesn't spike back up 1 to 2 sessions, and it's probably going to full on crush here. And we at least will, it's going to take weeks to slash months here for VIX to get back up to the spot. I am not sure which one we get. I do know how it behaved over here when you straight up just kept selling. I'm going to show you how it looked on SPY's chart. So this is the fourth. This is the first time you hit 70, second time you hit 70. So we're, in terms of where we are on VIX's move, we're right there. This is the second time you hit that spot. All right, so that was over there on March 4th. We're coming over here to SPY. What happened on March 4th? Okay, right over here. Okay, and as you see, you bounce. That would be us bouncing Monday and finding a new low on Tuesday. If that's the case, you got to just be uncertain with where we are, and we can keep selling. That's that. Okay. That's all I really just wanted to put at the start of the video there, just to tell you, okay, either we have like one more week of selling here and then we get a decent bounce going on here, quote unquote, this thing right here. Okay. Or we are going to see VIX not spike up to new highs. We're not going to see SPY QQ make new lows on the week by Tuesday. All right. And then we know, hey, okay, we likely do have a multi-week bounce starting up right here, right now. And that's that. And that's how it's likely to go the next few weeks. Yeah, that's that. We really just have to wait and see. Okay. Either it is going to last for another week or so. VIX is just going to keep climbing and then it crushes, for a few weeks. That's why I say at least a few week bounce. Okay. A few weeks there. This was 2 weeks before it had its next spike, which was aligned there with, this right over here. You just going, whoop, okay. It was on the 26th. You started seeing that. Well, look at the VIX over here. When did it start spiking back up? It was the 26th. So either way, we're going to be watching VIX. But yeah, we either get that scenario where we keep going down for the next week. We get 1 to 2 week of bounce. It's probably going to be a lackluster bounce, and that sets you up for another move lower. All right. And that's literally exactly what we had in February. Or we're looking for VIX to start crushing from around here. I don't think let's look at it this way. Okay. That happened less than a year ago. It happened 8 to 9 months ago. This whole sell right there. It started in February. That's 8 to 9 months from current date. Okay. There's a 25% correction here on the NASDAQ. We'll just reference the NASDAQ. Okay. 25% move down, almost 26. You had 40%, 37% move down in 2022. COVID, you had minus 30%. Okay, 2018, you had your little freak out over there, minus 23.5%. I am just pointing out these things usually don't happen within the same year. You're not going to have an unusual event happen twice in the same year. It's just probably not going to be the case. Even this correction over here, 15%. The next one, it was 15% though. It wasn't 25%. The next one happened, it looks like 2/3. So, I'm just saying we're a little past that. But the big corrections there is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just, you know, that. Okay. I'm not. I'm talking, you had a 25% move down on the NASDAQ. You're probably not going to get another big one right now. That's that. We should not be expecting this. I don't care. I really don't care. Until the chart starts flipping red over here, until the weekly cloud flips red, there's not a single chance we should be expecting what happened over here February into April to happen again. The tariff, you know, tantrum the market have. Not a chance, okay? We are now, for the first time since having a 25% correction, pulling into the weekly 21. 30% was QQQ on COVID, okay? COVID crash, minus 30%. That's what you got. First 21 EMA tests, found buyers. Second, found buyers. Third, found buyers. Fourth, found buyers. Five, found buyers. Okay? When you started pushing up into new all-time highs over here, first test, found buyers. Second test, found buyers, but it took 1 to 2 weeks. Third test, definitely found buyers right there, and you kept going. Fourth test, found buyers. Fifth test, found buyers. This is the first. I don't care what anybody has to say about it. Okay? Look at the weekly chart. It is probably going to hold. Now, that being said, we don't know if it's going to hold. It is probably going to hold. The people are sitting there saying premature bear market is upon us. These people have no idea what they're talking about. I'm not talking about individual tickers. I'm talking about a broad market here. Okay. Everything. Okay. You're not in a bear market if just individual tickers are selling. You're in a bear market when the indices to have this aggressive selling going on for an extended period of time, and all rips are getting sold. 2022 lasted a long time. Okay. Long time. Straight up. It's not happening again right now until it proves to us it's happening. Okay, that's it. You just got to wait and see. But, you know, the people are prematurely calling for it. They don't have any idea what they're talking about because you have to wait for these things to happen on the chart. And you don't know until after the fact that they've started. That's that. Like, no, and again, if you're going to call things beforehand, you should probably say that buyers are probably going to step in around here, like I've been saying, because that is what probability suggests. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, so just wanted to get that away. And I also want to say on this next bounce here, SPY's going to be forming a little right shoulder for this head and shoulders, potential head and shoulders pattern. You're definitely going to see a lot of people calling that one out as well. And what they're not going to say is, you know, until you make it back down to this low, you don't have a head and shoulders. Okay, we can very easily make a higher low from here into a higher high. Okay, you know, maybe continue past that. Do it from a higher price, okay? Or even revisit this low and then still maybe just sweep it and then push up from there, you know? So it's an obvious pattern, and if it happens in front of all of our eyes, they're probably not going to make it so easy for everyone to make money on the downside there. I'm telling you, most of the move down already happened, and if you missed it, you missed it. That's that, okay? Regardless, let's go over the levels here. We're going to go over the indices. We're going to go over the Mag 7 stocks, Magnificent 7, and then we'll go over some ideas for you, okay, at the end of the video. As far as levels go on SPY, on the upside, we have 661.21, 665.12, 670.23, and then 675.56, okay? For this most recent leg down, which happened all on Thursday, the golden pocket is going to be between 666 and 670. If you could take out 670.23, next stop is 675.56. At that point, if you test there, yeah, on the weekly time frame, buyers are showing that they're stepping in. They're likely going to drive it back to highs. That's that. Okay. On the downside, you have 652.84. Underneath there, you have Friday's low at 650.85. Underneath there, 646.19, 639.85. Again, at the weekly 21, expect buyers to step in here until proven otherwise. That's that. QQQ. What are our levels? Okay. Downside. 589.05, 584.75, 580.74, 574.63. On the upside, 594.59, 599.74, 606.16, and 614.03. If you can get above 607 this week, again, you know, golden pocket is going to align with the key spot here on QQ, just like it does with SPY. It's going to align right with the daily 21. If you're, you know, this is going to be dragged up as price comes up. All right. They're going to meet halfway right over here. Okay. You're either going to reject like you did on Thursday as we gapped right into it, or you're going to get through it. I'm not sure which. Or you consolidate there, you don't get through it, and then you do one of those things over the next few sessions. That's that. All right, but we should be expecting supply to be sitting there. We should expect sell orders to be right around that 21, as well as, you know, our key spot over here, which really is, you know, we're going to say 600 to 605. Expect sellers this week. If you take out 614.03, same thing I just pointed out on SPY. It's on the weekly time frame, higher time frame. Buyers are showing that they're stepping in. Okay. On the downside, we have 589.05, 584.75, 580.74, and 574.63. Okay. Now, again, I'm just going to, one more time before we get done with the indices, I'm going to go over this. VIX either continues spiking here. We're going to have a new high on the VIX Monday or Tuesday, and we know that this selling is likely going to continue, not into this week, but the next week. All right, like you're expecting the selling to continue this week. Okay, you don't have a bottom in right now. Okay, that's what it's telling you. Or we're going to see VIX continue selling here. We see SPY and QQQ not sell down to new lows Monday or Tuesday. Okay, if we're at a new low by Tuesday, I'm telling you, bottoms. I mean, obviously bottom wouldn't be in because we're coming down, but it just tells you to not expect the selling to end just yet. The last time VIX showed that behavior was when you had another week of downside, and then you had a 2-week dead cat bounce period. I'm telling you ahead of time, this is what you watch for. Okay, I will gladly point it out for you Monday or Tuesday after the close, but it's going to be an after. Okay, I want people, you know, I try and explain things on this channel so I could teach. Okay, so people, you know, it's not going to benefit to blindly follow someone 1 to 2 years down the line. It's not. I mean, obviously, yeah, you know, you're going to see a lot of, you know, action take place if you're blindly following someone for 2 years there. But are you understanding what's going on? Are you able to make your own decisions 1 to 2 years down the line? Yeah, no, you're still going to, you know, it's relying on that crutch. Okay, so just please, you know, I try and do the research, you know, a lot of the research. I try and take it off your shoulders. All right, it's here in these videos. Okay, I hope it's useful for everyone. I really do. But at the end of the day, I do definitely just want to tell you guys, please be making an effort over time. Take what I got here in these videos here, put it on your charts, track it in real time for yourself. Okay, you're going to start to notice patterns over the years. I promise. I mean, no matter what, you spend years in the market, you are going. It's pattern recognition. That really is trading in the market 101 is pattern recognition. That is step one. All right. So please do so. But yeah, if we start seeing VIX move like that, that's what it tells us. Okay, Monday or Tuesday, you take out this high 28.27. It tells us that, hey, all right, there probably won't be a bottom for the market just yet. It's not there. All right, we want a VIX spike to happen. Either we're looking for this to happen over there and then it starts coming down again, going to be a week later. All right, or we're looking for a massive VIX spike and that isn't going to last more than 1 to 2 sessions. And we know we have a capitulation bottom in. All right, those are, if VIX is going to keep spiking, that's what we're expecting. Either going to trickle its way up over there or we go too far too quick here after pulling back. And all of a sudden, we have a capitulation spike. And that's exactly what I wanted to see on Friday. I wanted everything to keep selling. It did not. All right. Got a big old bounce. It did bounce right from the spot. Okay. It's at the weekly 21. You know, weekly 21 here is in at 583. What was the low of the week here? 580.74. And before I bounce into, what do we get? Yeah, we got to bounce all the way up here, 597, you know, quite a bit there. Okay, quite a bit. So, you know, all you have to do, watch the 21 EMA, 583, boom, 2% bounce there on Friday. And it's obviously not that simple, but just pointing it out. All right, you know, or we're still in that same spot. We just have to wait and see if we are going to be out the woods yet. That's pretty much it, okay? IWM, guys, is off the weekly 21. Daily time frame suggests to me that this thing, it's either going to probably keep basing out here, okay? Or it breaks above the 21 EMA and gets up to 245. And at that point, it looks like it just will push back up the highs. You know, you're going to be so close to these highs at that point. You know, this is a previous all-time high, okay? You'd have breakout, failure, and then boom, you get back over it. You probably are just going to start pushing back up the highs regardless. All right, we're not going to talk about small caps too much right now. All right, but those are the indices. Let's just go over the Mag 7 stocks, guys. 581.25. That was your low put in this week. If you can take out last week's high at 611.69, it's proof that buyers are finally stepping in. You finally have a change of character we haven't had the whole time. That's that, okay? That's meta. It's really it. Amazon, I'm going to say they structurally damaged this chart at this point. They gave back the whole move and more, almost brought it down to the previous low there. What I will point out for the bulls is daily RSI is down to where it bounced the last 3 times here. You got decent bounces off this area. I would expect that to be the same. But I can't tell you if they're going to bounce you into the moving averages and reject you before coming down to new lows, or if they're just going to take you above the moving averages and start bringing you back up towards highs. I have no idea. Okay. What I can tell you is I'm expecting this bounce to be sold until proven otherwise. This thing looks like shit. And yeah, they get back the whole move. There's nothing really else to say about that. That's Amazon. Microsoft, okay, we're watching Friday's high, 478.92, above 498, above 478.92. We have 492.37, which is where they just broke it down from. You're going to have the short-term moving averages coming into play right around there. So, you know, if you get it, just expect that until proven otherwise. It is just that dead cat bounce. You can't argue with it, okay? But very key spot here, 468.35, previous all-time high. You're at the monthly 9 EMA as well. Buyers are going to step in. It's probably going to be around here. Daily RSI is now down into oversold territory. You could just look back and see that it doesn't like to spend too much time over there. We're probably going to find buyers right around this area, okay? That's Microsoft. Tesla, no matter what the market does, I am expecting the bounce to be sold. That's that. Okay. Underneath 382.78, we're talking 367.71 and then 350. Upside. Break above Friday's high, 402.80. We have 414.50 where they just broke it down from. And then you have 428.94. Okay. Even if you were to take out this high here, I do think they'll stall you up between 450 and 440 before taking it back down. And that is Tesla. Okay. NVIDIA. I'm not going to say it's beautiful. I'm not. You did find buyers off the 0.786 as well as the weekly 21. But no, this is the opposite of beautiful. It is, yeah, this is going to take some time. It's going to take some time here. The monthly candle, it's engulfing the previous month's, the whole month's price action there. This is damage on this chart here, and I wouldn't be expecting it just to shoot back up the highs from here. That being said, you know, even on Friday there, the daily RSI got down to, I think it was 38. I was hoping it would just close down there. Everything would keep selling across the board. They just don't. They're not going to make it easy. But it would have been the easiest scenario is get a capitulation sell, get VIX spiking like that, get some, you know, some of these key spots in the key areas we're watching for, spine QQ off the weekly 21 EMAs. All right. But really the key would have been VIX spiking like that. And it just didn't happen. We would have wanted it to go over 30. It didn't happen. The video over here, they bounce you up by end of day. And now look at that. They hit it with a doji candle. You got a long lower wick going on. But see how that daily RSI is nowhere close to 37. Well, it was at the low there. All right. Nonetheless, guys, if you see that happen, daily RSI comes down to 37. I don't care what price is doing. Okay. 10% bounce from around there incoming. Okay. Wherever that daily low is, once on the day it hits, look for a 10% plus bounce over the next 1 to 2 weeks. That's just what we're going to be expecting. That's that. It's just something you can back test for yourself. I'm not going to spend the time in my video doing so, but it's been working for, I think, over 2 years now. It's been quite some time. Okay, let's just look at this. Voila, 2.5 years. Okay, go look at it yourself. 37 on the daily RSI. Have a blast. Okay, resistance 184.48, 190.11, 195.62. Downside support, 178.91. Lose that, 172.93, 164.07. Okay, that's that. Now, hey, if they lose this, they're probably going to take out 164.07. They bring it down to 150. 150, 155, previous all-time high. We'll take it as we go. Okay, that's NVIDIA. GOOG, guys, showing the strength. Broke out of this 2.5 week range here. Okay, hit it with the inside day on Friday. I think this is likely going to be pushing up from here. Regardless, it's the one showing strength. I like Apple the most, but Google over here is a close second. It's not something I'm going to be trading next week. I'm just not going to be touching it. But it does look like it wants to continue higher. I would expect it's probably going to continue higher these next 1 to 2 weeks. Going to need the market to cooperate. Okay, that's Google, GOOG. Apple, guys, clear as day. Bull flag going on here. Above previous all-time highs. Only Mag 7 stock holding above the daily 21, aside from GOOG, which is just so extended that makes you just not want to play it at this point, you know, even though it's the one showing the most strength. Apple, though, weaker RSI, not in overbought territory. Still above the daily 21 EMA, basing out for what, 3 to 4 weeks now. Okay. Yeah, 3 weeks now, just a bit over 3 weeks. You've been basing out, and this bull flag came in a controlled manner into the daily 21 EMA. I've been talking about for a few weeks now, if you make this breakout above 277.32, you are likely going to see a 4 to 5 point pop that day above there, and I think it goes straight to 285. But yeah, that's what we're watching for. Okay, above 273.40, you have 277.32 above there. Look for 285 plus in the short term. All right, now here we go with some things showing strength this market, guys. These are going to be things that I'm paying attention to on the upside this week. Okay, and I'm just going to point out, I'm not going to tell anybody to long KO this week. I'm not. Okay, daily RSI is pushed into overbought territory. I do think it's going to continue. I think we have one of these impulsive moves going on right here. I told you guys, I've been pounding the table on it for the past 2 weeks as the market been, coming down. Expect dips to be bought over here, and then eventually I think we have a big impulsive move that's going to surprise a lot of people, including myself. Yeah, I actually said that. I think it was on this day right over here on Wednesday, that I think, a big move is right around the corner here that's going to surprise a lot of people. Well, it came right around the corner. Regardless, KO, guys, it did get that big pop. I think it's probably going up to all-time highs. I think it's going to stay overbought for a little bit. Either way, congrats if you caught it. KO was the thing we've been pounding the table on. In this market, it's not giving you confidence on really anything, but there definitely were things that were holding up against others here, like Berkshire Hathaway, LOY, okay, KO. There's that. KO was just one of them, okay? Apple, top watch for longs this week, above 277.32. GOOG, I like GOOG over here. I'm not going to be touching it. I just don't see a reason to play it at this point. But it did just broke out of this range over here, 16-point range. Did not get a 16-point pop yet. Almost got there, just about 15 points. But it likely will continue higher in the short term, okay? APP, I like where it's at. You got a bottoming tail going on Friday, right on the weekly 21 EMA, as well as a previous all-time high there. You might base out for a few weeks around this area, but I am looking for buyers to start stepping in right down here where you are. You do have the 4-hour triple bullish divergence going on down here as well on the RSI. But yeah, you take out last week's high, 562.56, and yeah, we'll see if they end up getting it going. Now, I think they probably will base you out for a few weeks here, just like you had this basing process right over here. But this is the spot where we're likely going to see decent, we're talking 10% rips from. Okay, that's APP. RKT, obviously on the weekly, it looks appealing over there. Okay, you got to admire what's happened over here, breaking retest for so long, about 2 months here, a month and a half, 2 months, consolidating above a previous breakout spot. And then you come down to the daily and you got to admire it even more. Okay. You got the inverse head and shoulders pattern going on here, guys. You got a left shoulder, you got a head, you got a right shoulder over here. This looks like it wants to explode. That's that. It has been going sideways for weeks now. Okay. A month and a half as the market during that period, it did end up going up, I'm just saying, it completely traded flat it looks like in a bullish manner here, while the market has been doing nothing but selling here for the last 2 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks here. I think this thing is probably going to be having a nice move to the upside. Okay. When you have these corrections in the market, you want to focus on the things that are holding up strong. Okay. Because then when you end up pushing back up on the market, or even just getting a dead cat bounce, these are the stocks that are going to be standing out over others. RKT, it definitely has been consolidating over here, and I'm going to be watching for a decent sized move to start up over here. I think you're honestly, you're either going to start seeing this start trending again in the short term, or we do end up have a larger basing process that's going on here, and it's going to really just work its way back up and maybe print like a cup and handle pattern, something like that. Regardless, all you got to worry about is 1844, baby. All right, put an alert for 1844. Get above there. I think they're about to take this thing 20 plus. That's RKT. I really like weekly, daily, 4-hour charts. UPS. People have been asking me for years when UPS is going to be bottoming. What am I thinking about it? I am going to say it probably is starting to turn around now, and that's that. Okay. Weekly 21 EMA. cloud flipped back to green over here on the weekly chart. That hasn't happened since July 2023. Yeah, right up here. All right, so quite some time in between there and there. Okay, quite some freaking time, you know, a little over 2 years there. And yeah, it is probably getting ready for a further push up here. It does not mean you're out the woods yet. No, it does not. Okay, monthly over here, you very clearly could see where you are. But that being said, monthly RSI, it's been oversold for, yeah, since April 2025 here for so long. And it is starting to shape up here on the weekly and daily for me. So above 97.12, guys, target is going to be 157. That's not 100. When that's not 157, that is 100.57. $100.57. Above 157, we're talking 106.46. Okay, that's UPS. MCD, I like the monthly, weekly, and daily. They're starting to shape up, and I think a pop is right around the corner over here, and it's time to start watching MCD again. Okay, we ended up playing it over here, and I told you after that, you know, move had been had, I was going to be leaving alone, and I'll tell you guys when the next, you know, time it's setting up for us is. It's now. It's starting to set up. If you can break above 312.79. I think they gave you a quick pop up to 317.90, maybe up to 320. Okay, that's MCD. MP. I don't like the weekly chart over here, but I will be paying attention for a basing process to happen over here on the daily. You take out this low, should put in a bullish divergence here on the daily RSI. I am going to be watching for buyers to step in shortly after. But either way, just thought I'd point out, I'm watching for a basing process. It's not something right now. You failed to break above last week's high at 65.95 this week. You rejected right then and there, slammed back down. Either they make the higher low here, take you over 66, and then at that point, you know, it's probably going to start pushing, you know, 75, 80 bucks. Or they take you down to new low, more probable, take you down to new low from here. And yeah, we're going to see a basic process put in. Regardless, it's something I'm going to be watching for. Yeah, you took quite a haircut down from the highs there. And this is definitely one that was leading the pack when it was going. Okay, that's MP. IBM. Weekly chart is really what's standing out over here. You've been consolidating around highs for, you know, 3 weeks. And then last week, you came down to the weekly 90 MA, started finding buyers down there. All right, and then, yeah, you're looking for a break above 301.04 and then 306 above there, okay? And that 306 level is last week's high. You take out last week's high. I really don't think they're going to do anything right now. I feel like a lot of these tickers are going to go through basing processes. Like, I can't see this thing just going like that. I really can't. You know, it's not to say it can't happen. It's just I don't think it's going to do that. I think it is more likely to, you know, find, but maybe you come a little bit, you know, almost back down to last week's low, find buyers, you have another lower wick going on, and then they close you out on the week right over here, okay? And then you finally maybe do get your breakout there over 306, then maybe that next week after that, they start bringing you up. All right, regardless, I don't know if they're going to bring you right now, okay? I don't know if they just send you right back up, but I do like the chart that's standing out to me, okay? Expect dips to be bought over here in the short term on IBM. It's not the prettiest over here on the daily, but the weekly is really what stands out here. Okay. And I'm telling you, if you think this doesn't look good, look at most other tickers right now in the market. This is definitely one that's showing strength with what's been happening. ISRG. Okay. I'm just going to say this isn't a ticker you're normally going to see, but again, you know, everything's really oversold across the board. You don't have things showing strength like we normally do. It's really limited out there. And yeah, I do think this thing it's definitely showing strength. It is there's a mega cap over here, and I think they're likely going to be driving it up. You know, it has just been holding up very well over here. It's trading on its own. I have to assume if the strength comes back to the market, this is probably going to finally have its next leg up after consolidating after that gap for, you know, a month there. It's one I'm watching there for that move over 580.47 above there. Oh, I think this thing's going right back up to the highs, 616. Okay. That is ISRG. Okay. And that's what I have for you guys today. I'm going to point out these names here, but you know, if you guys are option traders like me, we're not going to want to touch these names. Okay. These aren't going to be liquid. And yeah, we're not going to want to trade them. Okay. But for anybody who's just trading shares out there, when I was doing my scan, these things look They look pretty beautiful. I just know I'm not going to touch them as an options trader. I'm just not. But I do want to point them out. Okay. BTSG. And again, because the whole market, I'm telling you, this was a scan I did on over 2,000 stocks for, stocks above the weekly 21 and above the daily 21. And I ended up just, picking and choosing out of that list there. Out of 2,000 stocks, it gave me like 40 to look at, 40 or 50. And then, I trimmed down the list to, like maybe like 10. Like straight up, like I'm telling you, it's normally not that way. Normally it's pretty easy, within, my own watch list just to see what is showing strength. Yeah, there's very few names out there right now. There really is. KO, LLY. I've been pointing out LLY just every day. The first 30 minutes, it wants to have this 15 to 20 point push. Just keeps happening. Okay, every day. Well, it didn't. Did we have it over here? You get 11 point push, but that's some. So some stocks have been showing strength. There's no denying it. Okay, healthcare has been moving well. But the vast majority of tickers out there, they're just. Yeah, no, they've been in the crapper. There's not been strength in this market. And I know the week of 21 is just being tested there in SPY and QQ, but yeah, aside from the big boys, aside from the Magnificent Seven stocks, the semiconductor stocks, things that are really making up those indices, the larger percents of them at least, yeah, things are in the crapper. And that's that. Now, that being said, the NASDAQ, I'm not going to pull it up right now. NASDAQ McClellan Oscillator, guys. It did end up hitting an extreme into end of week there. It's where we normally bounce back from. So that is something to note from, take a note of. But yeah, I'm telling you, behind the scenes, like, putting together a list of stocks with strength. Normally I have a list of, we're going to say 20 to 30 tickers that I kind of got to trim down there. All right. Or maybe 30 or 40, might I say. Yeah, this week, I'm not going to say those were there. Okay. Market is in the crapper. I do not think the selling is going to continue for much longer. I really don't. Like, worst case scenario, you do get VIX falling or, not even spiking, just like climbing its way higher, trickling up, day after day there. All right. Every other session. And that's probably going to last for another week. And then you probably do have a low being put in on the market there that lasts at least for 1 to 2 weeks. And gives us I'm going to say at least 2 weeks from that point, gives us at least a dead cat bounce. Now, the more probable scenario, in my opinion, is that we're seeing a major low get put in on the market, and we are going to have this sick ass Santa rally into end of year, and that would be that. But yeah, there's that. Either way, I'm going to go over these stocks. BTSG, guys, it looks like it is likely going to be breaking out this week. Okay, that is BTSG. Has HAS. Also looks like it is going to be breaking out this week, or at least, over the next few weeks, has this larger breakout move coming, probably up to a new high above $82 over there. Again, as an options trader, these aren't stocks I'm going to be trading, okay? But they did stand out. HOUS, house, okay? HOUS just broke up from this week and a half range into new all-time high, likely going to continue pushing, okay? You just took out your IPO high. Yeah, it's definitely been showing the strength. It is a real estate name that, yeah, it's been pulling off some pretty big moves there. So I do think it's going to continue pumping over the next few sessions. At least I think we get 15 plus here on HOUS. Again, I'm not trading these things. I don't think there's a reason to. As far as, option trading goes, guys, the most liquid names, I'm already giving you when they set up. I'm already giving them here on this channel. All right. I'm telling you for a fact. Going into next week, we don't have a lot of the setups. We really don't. It's just, we don't. Okay. You have some of the names showing strength like LY, KO. Like, we've been pointing them out. Yes, there's not setups there anymore. KO just started breaking out. That's not there. LOY, it's been, just pushing up. But as far as, things that look ready to move, I'm telling you, we haven't had them. Okay. We have not had them this week. But yeah, HLT, guys, it looks clear as day like this thing wants to break above 279.46 over there. Is likely going to be making a big move. Can't say when, but it looks like it's going to be right around the corner. If they can do it early in the week, it's probably going to get a nice move. And I imagine since it has not gotten movement in quite some time, yeah, this thing might get a nice 5 to 10% pop here above 279.46. So that's HLT. COMP also looks like one that is about to be breaking out. You got a base going on here. Likely also gets a nice pop. Okay, above 1025. DVLT. Now this is actually one that I I remember seeing run over here, and I noticed that it is now starting to spike again. It's up 50% just on Friday alone, just about. I would not be surprised to see this thing start driving back towards the highs. If spec capital is going to start coming back into the market, which I'm pretty sure it is, this name should do well. So this is one that I'm going to say, hey, actually put this one on your radar. I like how this thing is shaping up. I liked how it was moving before. And it looks like, you know, as far as speculative stocks go, this might be a leader this second round here. Okay. DVLT. COLB. Kolb. Mr. Colby over here. Okay. Again, with these bases, looks like it is about to be breaking out in the short term. Yeah, and put it on your radar if you'd like. Again, it's not for option traders. I'm not going to say any of these names are for option traders. If you want to trade options, I'm telling you, Apple over here on the upside, that's your what you're watching over here. If the market wants to keep selling, Tesla, downside watch, break on at 382.78, flush. Okay, that's what you're watching for. Downside watch, Tesla, upside watch, Apple. Okay, it's clear as day. There's no denying it. Tesla showing the weakness, Apple showing the strength there. That's what you want, okay? I like UPS, RKT as well, okay? As far as short-term trades go, Apple, Tesla for downside, RKT, UPS, MCD I think is going to do well this week, okay? And then the last one I have for you is going to be A, and I'm going to watch over here what happens off of earnings. If it does not get a big reaction, this actually might be one I'm playing. If it doesn't get a big reaction off of earnings, okay? If they're good earnings, I'm going to pay attention. If they're good earnings, you can just look back and, you know, a lot of times it doesn't like to get the move on the day of earnings, okay? Or, you know, it reverses the move. That's what, if you look back, you see a lot of times, whatever move it gets, it reverses. The chart is clearly set up for upside here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you do end up seeing this thing not move much off of earnings, yeah, I'm going to take an interest that next morning, okay? But I'm liking it. A. It's A, okay? But just, yeah, full disclosure, I just want to say, if you are an option trader like myself, you're not going to focus on those last names I just mentioned. You are going to be focusing on Apple for upside. You're going to focus on Tesla for downside, okay? With that being said, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. All right. If you guys would, I'm going to be running it up until Black Friday. Okay. But it's going to be code BF. Yes, boyfriend, Black Friday. Yes, code BF will get you 50% off of the lifetime. People have been asking for that. I was just waiting. You got Thanksgiving coming up. Okay. So I'll have it running from here up until Black Friday, which is going to be on Friday. So have at it, okay? But yeah, with that being said, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed today's video. I know it was a bit longer. I swear every time I try and make them shorter, they don't come out shorter. They come out longer. I'm like, crap. But either way, I hope you guys are enjoying them. I hope you guys are not getting killed by this market moving down here, because we did know for a few weeks here that that was likely going to be the case. All right, until it proves us otherwise, then yeah, the selling's just going to keep up there. Now, that being said, we definitely do have, you know, things to where we wanted them to be. I wanted even to spike over here, but, you know, yeah, this is, I'm not going to say this is looking terrible. VIX did end up almost getting up to 30. I was just looking for capitulation style sell out of this range here, so we could know for a fact, okay, bottom is being put in on the market. There's that. Within 1 to 2 sessions, we're looking for VIX to start crushing. I'm not saying right now. I'm saying if we got the spike, that would be that. We didn't end up getting the spike, okay? Regardless, guys, that's where we're watching into next week. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please leave a like if so. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.